Okay. Hi Mohan, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, Pashu?
Good, good. So you are our chief architect
Yes,
here at the
yes,
Hive, and would love to know, could you tell us a little bit more about what you've been working on for
sure,
our entrepreneurs recently?
sure. So, I'm the chief architect of the Hive. As
Mm-hmm.
you know, Hive is a fund um, and company co-creation studio. So, a lot of times, we work with very early stage entrepreneurs. Usually two guys or a girl and a dog, and bring them in very early, help them out with their architecture, their go-to-market strategies, and basically help them even hire the best breed of the people. Right? And sometimes, like the second model we have is we also um, create companies ourselves. So most of sometimes the ideas germinate out of Hive itself. So in all these companies, the common theme is we actually work on data related applications. So we are not the ones who work on a new Hadoop engine or a new streaming engine for you. Um, we are very closely associated with the open source community, so we leverage those connections, we leverage that open source tools and build it. So one of the common, as we talked about, like the common themes at Hive is, we work on the applications based on data. So in my experience, when you have a very small team working on a very complicated problem, most of their time goes on the infrastructure part of it, right? So, which is actually the common thing. If you're trying to develop a big data project, a lot of times, it's the same code, that you write over and over again. You need to scaffold all of that. So what we at Hive do is we provide all of our startups a Hive um, application server, reference architecture, which takes care of all the components that you see in big data. So right from the development till deployment and provisioning, all of that is given to you. And I'll tell you more details about what entails that product. So the reason, I said, we don't hold any licensing. This is just free as a service that we give it to our companies, and they're free to take it from the source. They want to use it as is, they could, or they want to modify it, that's fine. But this actually bootstraps them and gives them this immense boost and productivity. So it really shaves off good 6 months of time. 6 months in a startup time is extremely valuable. 3 4 resources, then you can start on your product from almost like day one, day two onwards, and then you can quickly put it out there, pivot if you feel like, and all the things that you could take care of, right? And so this product, that the Hive application server that we developed is a culmination of a research from a lot of years of both research, architecture experience, talking to multiple experts in the field. So typically this one has the data ingestion. So we cater to all sorts of protocols and different types of data brokers that you'll be able to ingest the data into, and we create a lineage layer on that. So the architecture is such a way that you always have an abstraction layer, and the underlying engines you could choose whatever you want, and we support multiple engines. And that way you're always ahead of, today it's Spark everywhere, tomorrow there is something else, it's okay, because you are going through this abstraction layer. There's no tight coupling between any underlying engine. So that's the fundamental premise of this architecture. So every single piece that you see, they're all loosely coupled, and they all go through an abstraction layer such a way that it's easy for people to. So somebody wants to use managed services from Amazon, they could. Google, they could. Or use open source Hadoop via CDH5 or Spark. That's all good. The whole architecture takes care of it. So like I said, we have the data lineage aspect of it, and then we follow the Lambda architecture principle where we have the real time and the batch analytics, batch data processing. Mm, and a query capability that combines these results from both the batch and the real-time like data for you. And there's storage, so we support different types of storages: HBase, Cassandra, Redis, MongoDB. And then one other major component we have is called machine learning as a service. So we provide this entire machine learning as a black box that will take this data from any of these outputs, whether it's your batch or it's your real time. And so it's got multiple algorithms that it supports out of the box, and support different machine learning frameworks like GraphLab, or it's called Dato at the moment. They rename themselves as Dato, MLlib, Python libraries, and any runtime that you would like to. And so the way this works is you'll be able to run these models parallelly on a cluster of machines, and all these models are generated. Sometimes these models could be embedded if they're small, so we provide them as embedded JavaScript or Java or R, or sometimes if the models are big, we just publish them as a web service for people. And we are also working on an ability where, hey, now that I have trained and I have like hundreds of these models, how would you choose or pick the best model that you want? So model selection is something that we do. And then there's visualization aspect, so we also provide visualization libraries where you can plug into Tableau or Gephi or D3.js into it. And all of these are provisioned and deployed via Docker. So in that way it is very flexible. So you have both the code as well as the whole application deployment and provisional system set up for you. And also we have a test cluster, which is a 14-node here on-prem, that some of the startups who are here would use them before they could go to AWS or Google Cloud. So that's what do. And apart from that, there's a whole bunch of architectural, a whole bunch of like technical things that I help out with multiple companies. A lot of times, I'm one of the developers working through certain sprints. So that's pretty much in very, very high level what I help out these startups with.
And this is all accessible to the Hive entrepreneurs?
Yes, this is all accessible to the Hive.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mohan.
No problem.
Thank you.